Thai anti-government protesters gather outside defense compound. Bangkok, Thailand, CNN. Thailand government demonstrators massed Wednesday outside the Prime Minister's makeshift office, a day after clashes with police in the street of Bangkok killed 5 people. The protesters have been rallying in the city for months, demanding that Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra step down. Their long-running campaign has deepened political division in Thailand, undermined the functioning of the national government, and stirred outbreaks of deadly violence. The demonstrators want to rid the country of the influence of Yingluck and her older brother, former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, who they say controls the government from self-imposed exile. They are calling for the creation of an unelected People's Council to oversee electoral and political changes. 10 questions. What's behind the protests in Thailand? Deadly clashes. With Thailand still scared by a served bout of civil unrest in 2010, in which a crackdown on pro-Thaksin protesters by security force left scores of people dead. Police had until recently largely refrained from using force on the current demonstrations. But last week, police began attempts to clear sites occupied by protesters for months. Government officials said that the protester actions were blocking public access to government service. The police measures encountered strong resistance from protesters in central Bangkok on Tuesday, and clashes between the two sides erupted into a gunfire. 5 people, including a police officer, died in the violence, and more than 70 were wounded. Police have suspended efforts to seize the protest sites for the time being, said LT Jin Paradon Pahanihebat, the national security chief. Protesters gather. The anti-government protesters, meanwhile, are trying to keep up the pressure on Yingluck by gathering Wednesday outside Defense Secret Office in the suburbs of Bangkok, where the Prime Minister has set up a temporary office. She has had to relocate there after the demonstrator blocked access to Government House, the office of the Prime Minister and appointed cabinet minister in central Bangkok. Thousands of demonstrators assembled near the Defense Secretariat compound, arriving by foot, on bike, and in pickup trucks. Some of them waved flags and other blew whistles, a trademark of their moment. About 1,000 police officers in riot gear were posted outside the compound. It wasn't immediately unclear whether Yingluck was inside the office Wednesday. She gave a television speech from there on Tuesday. Political uncertainty. The Prime Minister is also facing difficulties over her government's controversial rice subsidy program. Thailand's Anti-Corruption Commission said Tuesday it was bringing charges against Yingluck over allegations she failed to act on worrying of corruption in the program, which paid farmers well above the market rate for their rice, but has run into financial problems. Yingluck said Tuesday that the program had been successfully and that there were no conspiracy to corrupt. The current protests in Bangkok were sparked in November by Yingluck's government's botched attempt to pass an amnesty bill that would have paved the way for her brother's return. The political fury in earnest. Yingluck called elections in December in the hope that they could help ease tensions, but the main option party boycotted the vote earlier this month, and protesters caused widespread disruption, making the outcome of the election inconclusive. That has left Yingluck's caretaker administration unable to operate fully. In pictures, on-board meals go flying as plane hits turbulence. CNN. Image taken on a recent Singapore Airlines flight might suggest passengers had become unusually ferocious in their disdain for their on-board meal. But this was no Buzzy Malone equals food flying fiesta. The plane hit turbulence shortly after the breakfast was served, and the result was cunning carnage. Singapore Airlines flight SQ308 experienced moderate to severe turbulence en route from Singapore to London on 26 May, said airline spokesman Nicole Inodis. Brace yourself. Flight set to be bumper, Costelier. 11 passengers and 1 crew member sustained minor injuries when the aircraft experienced a sudden loss of altitude and were attended to by medical personnel on arrival at Heathrow Airport. Passengers reported coffee cups, cutlery, and even a few people were thrown about the cabin as the plane lost altitude. Alan Cross, one of the passengers who took the image you see here, told CNN everything violently rocked off all the tray table into the ceiling, and you literally felt your stomach going in your throat. The mess was cleaned up soon after, and passengers were given chocolate gifts on landing in London. Is Paris still cool? Hell yeah, but not for the reason you think. CNN. So New York thinks it's the most stylish city on the planet. Sure, the Big Apple was named top dog in the latest ranking of fashion capital around the world, pushing Paris into the second place and London into third. But can you party in an abandoned Rothschild mansion in New York? Can you watch indie films in an anchored Japanese Pentagon? Can you check on the beach in the heart of the city? Nope. Well, math ends. You can in Paris. Whatever the world fashion dignitaries might say, the City of Light is much more than strippy t-shirts and the Eiffel Tower. In fact, You'd be hard-pressed to find a single Parisian jockey with the tourists atop that particularly feat of architecture, says culture blogger Vanessa Gale. Paris doesn't have to be the crowded tourist city everybody thinks of, said the 29-year-old editor of Messines.com, a website delving into the city's hidden artisan gems. The great things about Paris is you can walk around quiet. Very traditional neighborhoods that are like movie sets, and find these secret little pockets like a hilltop vineyard overlooking the city. And when the sun goes down, you can continue exploring the city's some club scene if you know where to look. People who complain about Paris nightlife are people who don't get out much, said 20-year-old author Mestrot, who, along with 26-year-old Rubin Neteff, founded online city guide 10 Days in Paris. I feel as though there's a real link between nightclubs and art. The buildings are some of the most beautiful in the world. We have a much different clubbing culture than other European cities like London and Berlin. It's smaller, more intimate. Grail top tip for discovering some of these tourist-free treasures. Rent an old 1960s scooter. You don't need a license, and it's the best way to take the side street and got lost. And when you've worked out how to find your way back again, here are a few more reasons why Paris is cooler, if not always more fashionable than you think. You can party in an abandoned Rothschild mansion, or a World War II bunker, or a closed inner-city railway. In fact, if it's grand, vintage, and out of bounds, then event organizer We Are the Oracle will probably be holding an extravagant somewhere inside. Expect eyes wide shut style screen, decent dining and thumping tunes, all inside the city's most magnificent direct building. Thousands of back-tooting berets wearing cyclists take over. As any hipster will tell you, retro is cool. Bikes are also cool. Artisan daily goods and defiantly up there. So the Burrit and Baguette circle rides through the city, involving 10,000 people dressed in 1930s costume and culminating in a picnic in the park, ticks all the right boxes. Watch indie films in an antiquated Japanese pagoda. People who don't know, watch film in multiplex cinemas. People who do, watch them in a lavish 118-year-old Japanese pagoda. The extravagant La Pagoda was built as a present for Le Bon Marché department store owner Monsieur Morne as a gift to his wife. Today, moviegoers can sip tea in their surrounding bamboo gardens before marveling at the elegant theater above with golden murals and chandeliers. Let's be realistic. Not everyone has pockets deep enough for a vacation in the south of France. Never fear. Paris has its cupboard bringing 5,000 tons of sand and nearly 100 palm trees to the banks of the Seine each summer. Okay, so it's not quite the Mediterranean, but there's still volleyball, giant sprinklers, and live jazz, and all within the heart of one of Europe's biggest cities. Go hunting for a secret underground river. But the Seine isn't Paris' only river. There is another secret stream following deep under the street, if you know where to look. Centuries ago, the Biri River wound its way through the city, becoming a polluted dumping ground for businesses, eventually sealed up in 1912. Today, walking tours followed plaques marking the hidden river route. You don't need to go to the Louvre to see amazing art. You could line up for 3 hours to get into the world's most viewed museum, or you could wander the city at leisure, taking in some of the most skillful street art in Europe. If you want to see more than just the usual landscapes of pixelated mosaic Space Invaders, then there are plenty of walking of cycling tours to give you an in-depth tour of Paris' more obscure murals. None, 84, sentenced to 35 months for nuclear break-in. CNN. An 84-year-old nun was sentenced to 35 months in prison Tuesday for breaking into a nuclear facility, her lawyer said. In May, a federal jury in Coatesville, Tennessee, found Sister Megan Rice, Bridget Obt, 57, and Michelle Welly, 63, guilty of destroying U.S. government property and causing more than $1,000 in damage to federal property. It was not immediately clear what the sentences were for the two other peace activities. The incident began before dawn on July 28, 2012, when the three cut through a chain-link fence surrounding the Y-12 National Security Complex in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. They then walked nearly a mile, cutting through 3 more fences and breaching what was supposed to be the most tightly secured uranium processing and storage facility in the country. It was not until hours later that a guard finally confronted the activities, who by then had hoisted banners, spray-painted messages, and splattered human blood on a building that houses highly enriched uranium. They're at peace about this. They're peacemakers, and they knew that they risked this. Joe Quigley, attorney for Wiley, told CNN affiliate WATE in May after their trial. Nobody is happy to go to jail, but they understand. In response to the incident, Congress has held a series of hearings and issued security recommendations to the Department of Emergency and its National Nuclear Security Administration, which runs Y-12 and 7 other nuclear weapon sites. In March, Deputy Energy Secretary Daniel Pullman testified before the House Energy and Commerce Committee that the Department of Energy had taken several major actions to improve security since the breach, including management change and independent security reviews. Tycoon's lesbian daughter Gigi Chao shakes up conservative Hong Kong. CNN. What's life when your father is a billionaire, your mother is an actress, and your sexual becomes an international headline? Just ask Hong Kong businesswoman Gigi Chao, 34, who says she didn't have time to be shocked when her father, real estate tycoon Sashi Chao, discovered her lesbian marriage and then offered HK 1 billion to any male suitor in the world who could effectively turn his daughter straightly. Overnight, Gigi's phone was flooded with messages from suitors around the world, attention she never wanted. There wasn't really an opportunity to mop. Oh, poor me, I got thrown out to the closet, she says. There were all these factors out of my control. I thought I had to be my own rock. 2 weeks ago, Chao defended her marriage with an open letter to her father, writing, "You have no idea how happy I am with my life." Her father dropped the trolley the next day. Her parents still refused to welcome her lesbian partner, but by coming out, Gigi Chao has touched off a society-wide conversation about the difficulties facing lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender in identifying Hong Kongers as they try to find acceptance within their own families. It's a belief that coming out as gay is a blatant disrespect for your parents, says Chao, speaking about Chinese culture. But it's not that way at all. Most gay people I know respect their parents very much. Raised in strict family with a Tai Kung father who made her enter university at 16 and an actress mother who was a perfectionist about her daughter's appearance, Chao says she learned from an early age to hold back parts of herself, including her own emotions. Chao recalls an instance when, as a teenager, she brought her girlfriend to her house. My mom cried and screamed and banged her head against the wall, and I said, "I will never accept this fact about you, and I'll never accept it, till the day I die." So I just sort of sat there in silence and took it all in, says Chao. The best way is to be grounded and logically about it. Ground yourself in reasons. You have to be a combination of a good actor and a good lawyer at the time, says Chao. See who else has been talked Asia. Chao says her family reaction was somewhat typically of a socially conservative Asian society. A lot of what Hong Kong is is family ties and relationships in this tiny, small, and overcrowded place. And there's a lot of people who want to keep it that way. She says, what's frowned upon, she suggests, are troublemakers and people who rock the boat. But for some young LGBT Hong Kongers, Gigi Chao is exactly the kind of troublemaker they need. When Gigi comes out, it really hit home for me, says Kelly, not her real name, a 21-year-old lesbian woman whose parents, like Gigi's, are well-known Hong Kong celebrities. When my parents saw Gigi, they saw this person who is established, who has a really good career, is still living her life to the fullest, and that made them realize that I can have that too. Gigi definitely showed the LGBT community that there is hope, and we're moving in the right direction. For Kelly and many others, Chao has become a symbol of the city-growing movement. Still, Chao says life may not be as easy for members of Hong Kong's queer community who lack her celebrity status. A lot of people come from a life of hardship and inadequacy, not just because of their orientation, but all sectors of life, all facts, and to add one, their sexual orientation being another disadvantage they have to face. That's the part that makes it more difficult, and that's what we want to confront. Despite being thrust into the position of role model, Chao says she does not claim to be a leader or an activist. I am who I am, and I speak for myself and myself only, she says. All that's happened is I've been given a voice, and people seem interested in what I have to say. In pictures, onboard meals go flying as plane hits turbulence. CNN. Image taken on a recent Singapore Airlines flight might suggest passengers had become unusually virtuous in their disdain for the onboard meal. The plane hit turbulence shortly after breakfast was served, and the result was culinary carnage. Singapore Airlines flight SQ308 experienced moderate to severe turbulence en route from Singapore to London on 26 May, said airline spokesman Nicole Lundis. 11 passengers and 1 crew member sustained minor injuries when the aircraft experienced a sudden loss of altitude and were attended to by medical personnel on arrival at Heathrow Airport. Passengers reported coffee cups, cutlery, and even a few people were thrown about the cabin as the plane lost altitude. Alan Cross, one of the passengers who took the image you see here, told CNN, everything violently rocked off all the tray tables into the ceiling. You literally felt your stomach going into your throat. The mess was cleaned up soon after, and passengers were given chocolate gifts on landing in London.